I'm Ethan Reed, and for the last 3 years, I've tried to leave my past behind. Once a top hacker for the NSA, I broke into systems that could topple governments. But now I'm just a freelance coder in Seattle building apps for startups and sipping overpriced coffee. My wife Sophia is the real star climbing the ranks at Nexus Tech, a flashy AI firm in the heart of the city. We've got a cozy loft in Capitol Hill, a dog named Pixel who chews my cables, and a life I thought was solid. But lately something's been off like a bug in the code of our marriage. And my old instincts, the ones that kept me alive in the digital shadows, are screaming. It started with small things. Sophia's late nights at the office, her phone buzzing at 2 a.m. The new Gucci bag she claimed was a work bonus. I let it slide, chalking it up to her ambition, the same drive that drew me to her at a San Francisco tech conference 4 years ago. She'd walked up all sharp wit and sharper heels and said, "You look like you'd rather debug code than talk to VCs." I laughed, hooked by her energy, and we were married a year later. But now as I sit in my basement office, the glow of my monitors casting shadows on the walls, I can't ignore the alerts pinging from my crypto wallet's security system. I built that wallet myself. $2 million in Bitcoin Ethereum. And a few altcoins, my nest egg from years of high-stakes contracts. It's locked tighter than Fort Knox with custom encryption I wrote in my NSA days. So when I see unauthorized access attempts, my pulse spikes. Someone's trying to crack it, and they're good. Too good for a random script kiddie. I lean back in my chair, Pixel snoring at my feet, and pull up my network logs. The attempts trace to a VPN in Seattle bouncing through servers in Singapore and Moscow, but I'm no rookie. A few lines of code, a backdoor I've kept active since my agency days, and I'm in staring at the digital fingerprints of someone inside Nexus Tech. My hands freeze over the keyboard. Nexus Tech. Sophia's company. I tell myself it's a coincidence, but my gut, honed from years sniffing out threats, says otherwise. I slip on my headphones, fire up a packet sniffer, and tap into Sophia's laptop, something I swore I'd never do. Ethics be damned, I need answers. Her screen mirrors to mine, and I watch as she types a message to Victor Kane, her charming boss, who's been a little too friendly at company dinners. "Wallet's almost ours," she writes. "Once we drain it, we frame Ethan for fraud. He'll take the fall and we'll have his startup." Victor's reply is instant, perfect, babe. "By tomorrow you're free and we're rich." The words hit like a DDoS attack, crashing through my world. Sophia, my wife, the woman who laughed at my bad coding puns, is planning to rob me blind and pin it on me. Victor, the guy I shared beers with at the last Nexus Tech Gala, is her accomplice. My fingers tremble, but not from fear, rage. Cold and sharp courses through me. I dig deeper, pulling their email threads. They've been at this for months, plotting to siphon my crypto and tank my startup, all while I was debugging apps and walking Pixel. There's even a draft press release Nexus Tech severs ties with Ethan Reed amid financial misconduct. They're not just stealing my money, they're erasing my life. I lean back, the hum of my servers grounding me. Pixel lifts his head, sensing my tension, and I scratch his ears, forcing a calm I don't feel. My NSA training kicks in, assess, plan, execute. I could confront Sophia now, storm upstairs, and demand answers, but that's not my style. I'm not the guy who yells. I'm the guy who breaks systems before they know they're broken. I pull up my secure line, a relic from my agency days, and ping Zoe Carter, my old NSA partner, who now runs a private cybersecurity firm. "Need you to trace some accounts," I type. "High stakes, possible corporate fraud." Her reply is immediate. "Send me the details. I'm in." Upstairs, Sophia's heels click as she enters the loft, her voice bright. "Ethan, you still down there?" She calls all sweetness, like she didn't just plan my downfall. I minimize my screen, slip on my coder's mask, slightly distracted, mildly nerdy, and head up. "Yeah, just wrapping up a project," I say, meeting her in the kitchen. She's in a tailored blazer, her perfume sharp, her smile practiced. "Big day tomorrow?" I ask, noting the flicker in her eyes. "Oh, Victor's pushing for a new AI demo," she says, pouring wine. "Might be up late prepping." I nod, playing along, but my mind's already in overdrive. I see her phone on the counter buzzing with a text she doesn't check. Want me to order takeout, I offer, keeping my voice light. She waves it off, heading to her office. I'm good, just swamped. I wait until her door clicks shut, then slip back to my basement. My servers are alive, tracking her every keystroke. She's emailing Victor again. Ethan's clueless. Tomorrow we move. I smile, cold and calculated. They think they're hacking me, but they don't know I'm the one who wrote the rules. I pull up my honeypot, a fake crypto wallet I've set up as bait layered with traps only an NSA vet could craft. If they bite, they'll trigger my malware, locking their systems and exposing their every move. I message Zoe, targets Victor Kane, Nexus Tech CEO. Dig into his offshore accounts. I'm setting a trap. Her response is a thumbs up emoji, her way of saying she's already on it. Pixel whines, sensing the shift in me, but I pat his head. Don't worry, boy, I murmur. They think they're playing me, but I'm about to crash their system. Sophia's laughter drifts from her office, a sound that once warmed me, but now feels like static. I think of our first date, coding together at a hackathon, her eyes lighting up at my work. That woman is gone, replaced by a traitor who sees me as a mark. But I'm not just a coder. I'm a ghost in the machine, trained to dismantle threats before they strike. Tomorrow, Sophia and Victor will learn what happens when you betray a man who can rewrite your world with a few lines of code. I lean back, my monitors glowing, my fingers itching to type. The game's on, and I'm playing to win. The basement office was my sanctuary, a fortress of glowing monitors and humming servers where the world made sense in lines of code. Pixel, my scruffy mutt, dozed in the corner, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Last night's discovery, Sophia's plan with Victor to drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud, had turned my blood to ice. My wife, the woman I'd coded late into the night with, laughing over pizza at hackathons, was a traitor. Victor, her slick CEO lover, thought he could erase me from my own startup. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. I wasn't just a freelance coder. I was an NSA ghost trained to dismantle systems and bury threats. Tonight, I'd start building the firewall to burn their plans to ash. I leaned over my keyboard, the blue light of my screens casting shadows across my face. My fingers danced, pulling up the honeypot I'd set up, a fake crypto wallet layered with traps only an ex-NSA hacker could craft. If Sophia and Victor's black hat hacker took the bait, my malware would lock their systems, trace their moves, and feed me their every keystroke. I'd learned to think like a predator in my agency days, always 3 steps ahead, and now I was hunting again. The thought of Sophia's betrayal stung, but I pushed it down, focusing on the code. Emotions were for civilians. I needed clarity, precision, control. My mind flashed to the first time I met Sophia 4 years ago at a San Francisco tech conference. She'd strode across the crowded ballroom, her confidence cutting through the buzz of startup pitches like a signal through noise. "You're Ethan Reed, the guy who hacked DARPA's firewall for fun, right?" she'd said, her smile sharp and teasing. I'd grinned, caught off guard, and we'd spent the night talking code and dreams. She was brilliant, ambitious, her eyes sparkling with ideas for a better world. I'd mistaken that hunger for passion, not greed. Now, as I scanned her laptop's logs, I saw the truth. Every late-night work session, every new designer bag, was part of her plan to sell me out. I shook off the memory, my focus snapping back to the task. My secure line pinged a message from Zoe Carter, my old NSA partner who'd gone private with her cybersecurity firm. "Got your data. Victor's dirty offshore accounts in the Caymans, shady deals with Nexus Tech investors. Sending you a USB. Meet me at the Beanery, 10 a.m. Zoe was a legend, the kind of hacker who could crack a Pentagon server before breakfast. If anyone could dig into Victor's digital dirt, it was her. I replied, "Bring coffee. It's going to be a long day." Upstairs, Sophia was still asleep. Her auburn hair fanned across the pillow like nothing had changed. I crept into the kitchen, making coffee to keep up the act of the oblivious husband. The loft smelled of her perfume, sharp and expensive. a reminder of the life she thought she'd buy with my money. Pixel followed me, his tail wagging, and I tossed him a treat, whispering, "You're the only one I trust, buddy." My phone buzzed another alert from my wallet security. The black hat was probing again, testing my defenses. I smirked, tweaking the honeypot to make it look vulnerable like a shiny lure for a fish too greedy to see the hook. I pulled up my encrypted servers hidden behind a VPN maze not even the NSA could untangle. My setup was overkill for a freelancer, 6 monitors, a custom-built rig with quantum-resistant encryption, and a backup server in a Seattle storage unit. I'd kept it quiet, telling Sophia it was for client projects. She never asked questions, too busy with her own schemes. Now those servers were my war room. I started coding decoys, fake financial records that would make it look like my startup was bleeding cash, baiting Victor to push his fraud frame-up. If he bit, I'd have proof of his intent, clean and admissible. My mind wandered to Lucas, my best friend since college who'd introduced me to Victor at a Nexus Tech party. He'd been acting weird lately, dodging my calls vague about his new gig at Victor's company. I hated suspecting him, but my instincts were rarely wrong. I ran a quick trace on his phone, finding encrypted texts to Victor. My stomach twisted as I cracked them. Ethan's distracted. He won't see it coming. Lucas, the guy who'd crashed on my couch during his divorce, was in on it. The betrayal cut deeper than Sophia's a knife in the ribs from someone I'd called family. I pushed down the hurt, channeling it into my plan. I set up a shadow network to monitor Lucas's devices, planting a keylogger to catch his every move. If he was feeding Victor intel, I'd use it against them. My phone pinged again, Zoe confirming the meet. I slipped into jeans and a hoodie, my coder's uniform, and grabbed my keys. "Hold the fort, Pixel," I said, scratching his ears. Upstairs, Sophia stirred, her voice sleepy. "Ethan, you heading out?" I poked my head into the bedroom, forcing a smile. "Yeah, client meeting. Back soon." Her eyes flicked to her phone, a telltale sign of guilt. "Don't work too hard," she said, her tone too sweet, like a script she'd rehearsed. I drove to the Beanery, Seattle's morning fog cloaking the city in gray. My mind was a live wire, calculating angles, contingencies, risks. Sophia and Victor thought they were playing a game of chess, moving their pawns to checkmate me. But they didn't know I'd rewritten the board. I wasn't just defending my crypto, I was dismantling their lives line by line. Zoe would have the dirt to start, and my traps would do the rest. They wanted my money, my startup, my future. Instead, they'd get a lesson in what happens when you betray a man who can hack your world apart. I parked my pulse steady, my fingers itching to code. The firewall was rising, and their empire was about to crash. The Seattle fog clung to the streets like a bad firewall, thick and gray, as I pulled into the Beanery's parking lot. My pickup truck, a beat-up relic from my pre-NSA days, blended into the hipster chaos of Capitol Hill, perfect cover for a guy who didn't want to be noticed. Inside my head, the world was a storm of code and betrayal. Sophia, my wife of 4 years, was plotting with her boss Victor to drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud to steal my startup. Worse, my best friend Lucas was feeding them intel, a knife in the back I hadn't seen coming. But I wasn't the coder they thought they could outsmart. I was an NSA ghost trained to break systems and bury threats, and today the game was going live. I stepped into the Beanery, the air thick with espresso and indie music. My hoodie and jeans making me just another tech bro in a sea of laptops. Zoe Carter was already in a corner booth, her short black hair tucked under a beanie, her eyes scanning a tablet like she was cracking a vault. Zoe was my old NSA partner, the only person I'd trusted in those days of Black Ops hacking. She'd gone private, running a cybersecurity firm that made Fortune 500 companies sweat, but she still had my back. "You look like hell, Ethan," she said, sliding a USB drive across the table with a black coffee. "This Victor guy's dirtier than a rootkit." I took the USB, my fingers brushing the cold metal, and sat down. "What have you got?" I asked, keeping my voice low, though the buzz of the cafe covered us. Zoe tapped her tablet, pulling up a file. "Victor's got offshore accounts in the Caymans funneled through shell companies. He's been skimming Nexus Tech profits for years, $5 million at least. Your wife's in on it, signing off on fake invoices. And get this, she said, her eyes narrowing, your sister-in-law Claire is laundering their cash through her accounting firm. My stomach dropped. Claire Sophia's older sister, the one who'd baked cookies for my birthday last month, was part of this. Another betrayal. Another line of code gone rogue. I plugged the USB into my burner laptop, scanning the files, bank records, encrypted emails, even a photo of Victor and Sophia at a rooftop bar clinking glasses while I was debugging client apps. Claire's been cooking books for Victor's investors, Zoe continued. She's hiding their profits to dodge taxes. Your startup's funds. They're planning to transfer them to her firm once they frame you. I clenched my jaw. The betrayal stacking like bad data. Any hard proof? I asked, my voice steady despite the fire inside. Zoe smirked, sliding me a second USB. Intercepted texts between Claire and Victor. They're sloppy, Ethan. Thought they were untouchable. I leaned back, sipping the coffee, its bitterness matching my mood. My mind flashed to Claire at our last family dinner, laughing about her boring accounting job. She'd hugged me goodbye, her smile warm while plotting to bury me. I pushed the memory aside, my NSA training kicking in, assess, plan, execute. I've got a honeypot wallet set up. I told Zoe, my fingers tapping the table like a keyboard. If their black hat takes the bait, my malware locks their systems and traces their moves. I'm also planning decoys to make my startup look broke, force Victor to show his hand. Zoe nodded, her eyes glinting with approval. Smart. I've got a backdoor into Nexus Tech servers. I can monitor Victor's emails, maybe catch their hacker's IP. You want to leak anything yet? I shook my head. Not yet. I need them to think they're winning. Let them dig their own grave. I pulled up my phone, checking the shadow network I'd set on Lucas's devices. His latest text to Victor read, Ethan's swamped with client work. No clue about the wallet. The betrayal stung, but I turned it into fuel, my fingers itching to code their downfall. Back at the loft, I kept up the act, cooking dinner spaghetti, Sophia's favorite, while she typed furiously on her phone. Big day tomorrow? I asked, stirring sauce, my voice casual. She glanced up, her smile tight. Yeah, Victor's pitching to investors. Huge deal. Her phone buzzed and she angled it away, a telltale sign of guilt. You okay? I pressed, noting her flinch. Just stressed, she said, brushing her auburn hair back. Work's intense. I nodded, playing the doting husband, but my servers downstairs were alive, tracking her every keystroke. She was emailing Victor. Ethan's clueless. Let's move tomorrow. I excused myself to the basement pixel, trailing me, his tail wagging, like he knew we were on a mission. My monitors glowed, showing alerts from my honeypot. Victor's hacker was probing again, closer to the bait. I tweaked the code, making it look like a weak encryption key, tempting them to dive in. Upstairs, Sophia's laughter rang out, a sound that once warmed me, but now felt like a glitch in my system. I thought of our first hackathon, her cheering when I cracked a challenge in record time. That woman was gone, replaced by a traitor who saw me as a mark. I messaged Zoe, monitor Nexus Tech's servers tonight. I'm planting malware in their investor portal. If Victor bites, we'll have his financials. Her reply was quick, on it. Watch your back. Lucas is meeting Victor tonight. My chest tightened. Lucas, my brother in all but blood, was selling me out for a paycheck. I opened my keylogger, watching his texts stream in Ethan's in the dark. Push the transfer. I leaned back, my pulse steady, my mind ablaze. They thought they were hacking my life, but I was rewriting their code. Sophia and Victor wanted my money, my startup, my future. They'd get a crash instead, and I'd be the one pulling the plug. The hum of my basement servers was my war drum, each pulse a reminder that the game was now live. Pixel sprawled across the floor, his snores a faint comfort as I stared at my monitors, their blue glow painting my face in the dark. Sophia and Victor thought they had me cornered, their black hat hacker probing my $2 million crypto wallet, ready to drain it and frame me for fraud. My best friend Lucas and Sophia's sister Claire were in on it, their betrayals stacking like corrupted files. But they didn't know I was an ex-NSA hacker, a ghost who could rewrite their reality with a few keystrokes. Tonight their plan would crash, and I'd be the one pulling the plug. My honeypot wallet, a digital decoy I'd coded to look like a gold mine, was live, its fake vulnerabilities dangling like bait. I watched the Black Hat's probes intensify their IP, bouncing through proxies in Dubai and Berlin. They were close too greedy to see the trap. My malware buried in the wallet's code was ready to lock their systems and trace their every move. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, my fingers steady despite the fire in my veins. Sophia was upstairs, her heels clicking as she worked late in her office, oblivious to the storm I was unleashing. Her latest text to Victor, intercepted by my keylogger, read, "Wallets hours by morning. Board meetings set to oust Ethan." My jaw clenched, but I stayed focused, a surgeon in a digital operating room. The first alert pinged at 10 p.m. The Black Hat took the bait, diving into my honeypot. My malware sprang to life, locking their system in a virtual cage. Their screen would be flashing errors now, their keyboard useless as my code hijacked their network. I traced their IP to a Nexus Tech server, confirming Victor's involvement. "Got you," I muttered, sending the data to Zoe Carter, my NSA ally. Her reply was instant. "Nice catch. I'm in their investor portal, planting a backdoor now." Zoe's backdoor would let me monitor Victor's financial moves, every dollar he tried to hide. But I wasn't stopping there. I opened a second terminal, coding a script to leak Victor's offshore accounts to TechBit, a blog with a knack for exposing startup scandals. The files Zoe sent: bank records, fake invoices. Claire's money laundering logs went out anonymously, timed to hit TechBit's servers at midnight. By morning, Victor's investors would be in a frenzy, pulling funds as his empire crumbled. I glanced at my phone, checking Sophia's activity. She was on a call with Victor, her voice low through my hidden mic. "The hacker says it's almost done. Ethan's finished." I smirked, tweaking my malware to send fake fraud alerts to Nexus Tech's investors, making it look like Victor was the one cooking the books. Upstairs, Sophia's office door opened, her heels echoing, as she grabbed a glass of wine. I minimized my screens, heading up to keep the act going. "Still working?" I asked, leaning against the kitchen counter, my voice casual. She jumped slightly, her smile tight. "Yeah, Victor's got us on a tight deadline," she said, swirling her wine. "You okay? You look stressed." Her eyes flicked to her phone, buzzing with a new alert. I knew what it was. My malware had just locked Victor's laptop, a little preview of the chaos to come. "Just tired," she said, brushing past me. "I'll crash soon." Back in the basement, my monitors lit up with chaos. TechBit published the leak early, the headline screaming, "Nexus Tech CEO in fraud scandal." Investor emails flooded Victor's inbox, demanding answers, while my fake alerts had them pulling funds. Sophia's phone buzzed again, and I heard her gasp through my mic. "Victor, what's happening? The investors are freaking out." His voice, usually smooth, was frantic. "I don't know. My system's down." I smiled, cold and calculated, as my servers recorded their panic. Pixel lifted his head, sensing my shift, and I scratched his ears. "They're done, boy," I whispered. My mind flashed to Lucas, my traitor of a best friend who'd sold me out for a Nexus Tech payout. I checked my keylogger. His latest text to Victor read, "Ethan's none the wiser. Push the board vote." Rage flared, but I channeled it, sending Zoe a new task: dig into Lucas's finances. I want his role exposed. Zoe's reply was a winking emoji, her way of saying she'd bury him. I thought of Claire, Sophia's sister, cooking books for Victor while pretending to be family. Her betrayal stung, but it was just another glitch to fix. I prepped a second leak for TechBit, this one targeting Claire's accounting firm with IRS-ready evidence of her money laundering. Sophia's voice broke my focus, calling from upstairs. "Ethan, you coming to bed?" Her tone was syrupy, a performance for a man she thought she'd outsmarted. In a bit, I called back, my voice steady. I opened my secure vault, transferring my real crypto to an untouchable wallet safe from their grasp. My monitor showed Sophia pacing, her phone pressed to her ear, arguing with Victor. Fix this, she hissed. We can't lose the investors. I leaned back, my pulse calm, my mind ablaze. They thought they were hacking my life, but I'd turned their system against them. The trap was sprung and their empire was crashing. Tomorrow, I'd tighten the noose. The Seattle rain beat against my basement windows, a steady rhythm matching the pulse of my servers as they hummed with data. Pixel, my loyal mutt, sprawled across the floor, oblivious to the digital war I was waging. Last night's trap had worked. Victor's black hat hacker, my former NSA mentee turned rogue, had fallen into my honeypot, locking their systems and exposing their moves. Sophia, my wife, and her lover, Victor Nexus Tech's CEO, thought they could drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud to steal my startup. My best friend Lucas and Sophia's sister Claire were in on it, their betrayals cutting deeper than code. But I was an ex-NSA ghost trained to dismantle threats, and I was about to unmask every player in their game. My monitors glowed with intercepted data. Victor's panicked emails to investors, Sophia's texts begging him to fix the chaos, and Claire's accounting logs hiding their dirty money. The TechBit leak I'd sent had blown up with Nexus Tech's stock plummeting and investors pulling out. But I wasn't done. I needed to confront Lucas, the friend who'd sold me out for a paycheck. I opened an encrypted video call, my keylogger feeding me his latest betrayal, a text to Victor saying Ethan's still in the dark. Push the board vote to oust him. My stomach twisted, but I steadied my voice, my NSA training kicking in, calm, precise, lethal. Lucas's face appeared on my screen, his easy grin faltering as he saw my expression. Ethan, what's up, man? He said, leaning back in his Nexus Tech office. I didn't smile. Cut the act. Lucas, I said, my voice cold as a server room. I know you've been feeding Victor intel. You sold me out. I shared my screen showing his text to Victor, timestamps and all. His face went pale, his mouth opening and closing like a crashed program. Ethan, I can explain, he stammered. I cut him off, uploading a file bank record showing Victor's $50,000 payment to Lucas's offshore account. Explain that I said, my tone a blade. You chose money over 20 years of friendship? He broke, his voice shaking. Victor said it was just business that you'd bounce back. I needed the cash, man. My divorce cleaned me out. I leaned closer to the camera, my eyes locked on his. You picked the wrong side, Lucas. Watch what happens next. I ended the call, my fingers flying as I sent his confession to TechBit, anonymously tagged as Nexus Tech Insider Leaks. By morning, Lucas would be a pariah, his career in tech as dead as a fried hard drive. Next, I turned to Claire, Sophia's sister, whose accounting firm was laundering Victor's profits. I hacked her servers, pulling emails where she bragged about cleaning Nexus Tech's books. I packaged them with her financial logs and sent them to the IRS, flagged for money laundering. The feds would be knocking on her door by noon. I thought of Claire at our last family barbecue, toasting my startup's success while hiding her role in this betrayal. The memory stung, but I buried it, focusing on the code. My monitors showed Sophia's latest move. She and Victor were trying to transfer my crypto to Claire's firm, thinking they'd cracked my wallet. They hadn't. They'd hit my honeypot, and my malware was redirecting their funds to a secure vault only I could access. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, as my servers pinged with success, $2 million safe, their transfer attempt logged as evidence. Sophia's phone buzzed upstairs, and I tapped into her call with Victor through my hidden mic. The transfer failed, she hissed, her voice tight with panic. The investors are bailing, and the board's calling an emergency meeting. Victor's reply was frantic. Fix it, Sophia, we can't lose everything. I smirked, crafting an email from a burner account to Sophia. Attached was a screenshot of her plotting with Victor, time-stamped last night. The message read, check your company's servers in 1 hour. The truth's coming out. I hit send, watching her gasp through my surveillance feed as she opened it. Upstairs, I kept up the act, knocking on her office door. You okay, babe? I called, my voice warm, masking the storm inside. Sophia emerged, her auburn hair disheveled, her smile forced. Just work stress, she said, clutching her phone. Victor's being impossible. I nodded, feigning concern. Take it easy, yeah, I'm heading out for a client meeting. She didn't know my meeting was with Zoe, who was waiting at a downtown diner with more dirt on Victor's offshore accounts. As I grabbed my keys, Pixel followed, whining softly. Stay strong, buddy, I whispered, scratching his ears. We're almost there. I drove through Seattle's drizzle, the city's neon lights blurring like corrupted pixels. My mind was a live wire, calculating every angle. Sophia and Victor thought they were one step away from stealing my life. Lucas and Claire thought they could hide in the shadows. But I'd spent years breaking systems tougher than theirs, and I wasn't just defending, I was attacking. Zoe would have the final pieces to bury them, and my malware was already spreading, ready to crash their empire. They'd underestimated a ghost who could rewrite their world with a single line of code. The trap was sprung, and the next hour would burn their plans to the ground. The Seattle skyline glittered through the drizzle, a digital jungle where Ethan Reed was the apex predator. My basement office pulsed with the hum of servers, their screens alive with the chaos I'd unleashed. Sophia, my wife, and her lover. Victor, Nexus Tech's CEO, thought they could drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud to steal my startup. My best friend Lucas, Sophia's sister Claire, and even my own mother had betrayed me, each playing a role in their scheme. But I was an ex-NSA hacker, a ghost in the machine, and last night's honeypot trap had locked their systems, exposing their every move. Now, with the world watching, I was ready to crash their empire in a public reckoning they'd never forget. My monitors glowed with data Victor's offshore accounts, Sophia's incriminating texts, Claire's money laundering logs, and my mother's investment in their scam, all meticulously gathered by Zoe Carter, my NSA ally. The TechBit leak had already tanked Nexus Tech's stock, with investors bailing and the SEC circling. But I wasn't done. I'd coded a worm to hijack Nexus Tech's website, ready to broadcast Sophia's texts and Claire's financial records to thousands. I leaned back, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, Pixel snoring at my feet. The email I'd sent Sophia anonymously with a screenshot of her plotting with Victor had her pacing upstairs, her phone buzzing with panic. 1 hour I'd warned. That hour was now. I hit execute, and my worm went live, rewriting Nexus Tech's sleek homepage into a damning expose. Sophia's texts flashed across the screen. Ethan's clueless. We'll have his startup by tomorrow. Claire's logs followed, showing millions laundered through her firm. The viewer count skyrocketed, 10,000, then 50,000, as Zoe's bots pushed the link across social media. Twitter exploded with hashtags, # Nexus Tech scandal, # corporate betrayal. I watched Sophia through my hidden camera, her face paling as she opened her laptop, gasping, Victor, our servers are hacked. His reply, intercepted by my mic, was frantic. Shut it down, now too late. My worm had locked their admin access, leaving them helpless. I sipped cold coffee, my pulse steady as a server clock. The feds would be at Nexus Tech's office by morning, but I wanted Victor to feel the walls closing in first. I rigged my office with cameras, motion sensors, and a fake security alert to lure him here. Zoe texted, Victor's on the move. Headed your way. Be ready. I nodded to Pixel, who lifted his head, sensing my shift. Showtime, buddy, I said, checking my encrypted vault. My $2 million crypto safe, their transfer attempt a digital ghost. Upstairs, Sophia was on her phone arguing with Claire. The investors are gone. Fix this, I smiled, cold and calculated, as my servers recorded every word. The doorbell rang, sharp and urgent. I opened it to find Victor. His tailored suit rumpled his face, a mask of rage. Ethan, we need to talk, he said, shoving past me into my office. I let him, my cameras rolling. What's this about? I asked, feigning confusion. My voice calm as a dead server. He paced, his hands shaking. Someone's tanking my company, leaks. Hacks my investors are bailing. I leaned against my desk, my eyes locked on his. Sounds like you pissed off the wrong guy. Victor. His gaze narrowed, suspicion dawning. You no way. You're just a coder. I stepped closer, my voice low, lethal. You thought I was just a coder. 8 years at the NSA, breaking systems tougher than yours. You tried to steal my life, my money, my startup. I pulled up my monitor showing his offshore accounts frozen by my malware. You're Black Hat. My old mentee. Your plan, my trap. Victor lunged, grabbing my collar, but I sidestepped, my training kicking in. You're done, I said as my cameras caught his every move. The feds have your files. The world's watching your downfall. He froze, his face crumpling as my phone pinged Zoe's update footage sent to CNN. SEC rating Nexus Tech now. I shoved a USB into Victor's hand labeled Your Crimes. Take it, I said. And tell Sophia I know, and you'll both pay. He stumbled out. The fight drained from him as sirens wailed in the distance. I slipped out the back, leaving the loft before Sophia could confront me. In my truck, I checked my feeds. Nexus Tech's website was flooded with comments, the scandal trending nationwide. Sophia's socialite mask was shattered. Claire's firm under IRS scrutiny, Lucas. Jobless, my mother shunned. They thought they could erase me, but I'd rewritten their code. The reckoning was here, and I was just getting started. The Seattle dawn broke gray and heavy rain streaking my basement windows as my servers hummed with the echoes of yesterday's chaos. Ethan Reed, ex-NSA hacker turned digital avenger, had turned the tables on my betrayers. Sophia, my wife, and her lover, Victor, Nexus Tech's CEO, had tried to drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud to steal my startup. My best friend Lucas, Sophia's sister Claire, and even my own mother had joined their scheme, but my honeypot trap and TechBit leaks had exposed them. Last night's website hack, broadcasting their crimes to thousands, had sent Nexus Tech's stock into freefall and the SEC to their doorstep. Now, as I sipped bitter coffee, my monitors tracked the fallout, and I felt the cold satisfaction of a plan perfectly executed. Pixel, my scruffy mutt, dozed by my desk, his snores a quiet anchor in the storm. My phone buzzed with updates from Zoe Carter, my NSA ally who'd leaked Victor's confrontation footage to CNN. The headline blazed, Nexus Tech CEO faces fraud conspiracy charges. The SEC had raided their office at 5 a.m., carting away servers while reporters swarmed. Victor's offshore accounts frozen by my malware left him penniless, his Cayman shell companies exposed as frauds. Investors spooked by my leaks had pulled $50 million in funding, and Nexus Tech's board was in chaos, with members turning on each other to avoid jail time. I smirked, watching a live feed of Victor's downtown office, now a ghost town, his nameplate already gone from the door. Sophia was unraveling too. My hidden mic caught her pacing our loft upstairs, her voice cracking as she called Claire. The feds are everywhere, Victor's done, and they're asking about my accounts. Claire's reply was shrill. My firm's shut down. The IRS has everything. I leaned back, my fingers tapping the desk like a keyboard. Claire's accounting firm, once a front for laundering Victor's profits, was now a federal crime scene, her license revoked. My mother, who'd invested in their scheme hoping for a quick payout, was dodging reporters, her socialite friends ghosting her after TechBit named her in the scandal. Lucas, my so-called best friend, was the next to fall. My leak of his $50,000 payoff from Victor had cost him his Nexus Tech job, and his tech network was shunning him. I checked my keylogger. His desperate emails to recruiters went unanswered. His LinkedIn profile a graveyard. I thought of our college days, coding marathons and late-night beers, now tainted by his betrayal. The sting was sharp, but I buried it, focusing on the data. My servers pinged with a new alert. Victor had tried to access a backup account only to find it drained. My malware had redirected it to a secure vault, leaving him with nothing but error codes. Zoe's text came through, Victor's arrested. Sophia's under investigation. Your mom's selling her condo to pay legal fees." I nodded, my pulse steady as a server clock. The news was calling it the hacker's revenge, painting me as a ghost who'd outsmarted a corporate empire. I'd kept my tracks clean, my identity hidden behind VPNs and proxies, but the world knew someone had brought Nexus Tech down. I messaged Zoe leaked Claire's emails to the SEC. Keep the pressure on. Her reply was a grinning emoji, her way of saying she was already ahead of me. Upstairs, Sophia's heels clicked frantically as she packed a bag, her voice trembling on a call to Victor's lawyer. "I need protection. Ethan knows." I smiled, cold and calculated, as I uploaded a final file to TechBit. Sophia's attempt to bribe an investor to stay quiet, caught by my malware. The blog post went live trending with #NexusTechScandal. I slipped out the back, driving to a safe house in Fremont, a nondescript apartment I'd rented under an alias. My sister Mia was waiting, her teacher's smile warm but worried. "Ethan, you okay?" she asked, hugging me. "Better than ever," I said, my voice steady. "They tried to frame you too, Mia. I stopped them." Mia's eyes widened. She hadn't known Sophia had tried to pin the fraud on her to deflect blame. "You saved me," she whispered, her trust grounding me. "I thought of our childhood, Mia always in my corner, unlike our mother who'd sold me out for a quick buck." I handed Mia a burner phone. "Stay here until it's over," I said. "You're safe now." My monitors synced remotely showed the news. Victor in handcuffs, Sophia dodging cameras. Claire's firm boarded up. My mother's condo listing hit the market, her socialite life in ashes. I leaned back, Pixel curling up beside me. They'd thought I was just a coder, a mark to be fleeced. But I was a ghost, trained to break systems and bury threats. My leaks had turned their empire to dust, and the feds were closing in. Sophia's desperate calls, Victor's arrest, Claire's ruin, Lucas's isolation, my mother's shame, it was all part of the code I'd written. They'd underestimated me, and now their world was offline. I wasn't done yet, but the victory was mine, and I'd make sure they felt it for years to come. The Seattle rain had stopped, leaving a damp chill that mirrored the cold satisfaction in my chest. I sat in my Fremont safe house, a Spartan apartment hidden behind an alias, my monitors casting a blue glow across the bare walls. Pixel, my scruffy mutt curled up on a blanket. His snores, a quiet reminder of the life I was fighting for. Sophia, my wife of 4 years, had plotted with her lover Victor, Nexus Tech's CEO, to drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud. My best friend Lucas, Sophia's sister Claire, and even my mother had joined their scheme. But my digital traps, honeypots, malware, and TechBit leaks had brought their empire crashing down. Victor was in cuffs, Nexus Tech bankrupt, and now Sophia's world was next to fall. My servers hummed with updates from Zoe Carter, my ex-NSA ally. The SEC had seized Victor's assets, his offshore accounts exposed as frauds. Claire's accounting firm was shuttered, her license revoked, and the IRS was building a case that'd keep her in court for years. Lucas, my traitorous friend, was a tech pariah, his job gone and his network shunning him. My mother, who'd invested in their scam for a quick buck, was selling her condo, her socialite friends cutting her off after TechBit named her in the scandal. But Sophia, my wife, the woman who'd once coded beside me at hackathons, was still scrambling, thinking she could salvage her socialite mask. I was about to rip it off for good. I pulled up my surveillance feed, watching Sophia in her new digs, a dingy studio in Tacoma, a far cry from our Capitol Hill loft. Her auburn hair was pulled into a messy bun, her designer clothes replaced by thrift store sweats. She paced her phone silent, her once vibrant social media now a graveyard of deleted posts. The TechBit expose, amplified by my worm-hijacking Nexus Tech's website, had gone viral, with #NexusTechScandal trending worldwide. Her texts plotting to frame me were plastered across blogs, and her attempt to bribe an investor had sealed her fate. The feds were circling, fraud charges pending, and her former clients were suing for millions. I leaned back sipping cold coffee, my mind as sharp as a freshly compiled script. Zoe's latest update pinged Sophia's lawyers bailing unpaid bills. She's desperate. I smiled cold and calculated, and opened my burner laptop. My final move was ready a dossier of every crime Sophia committed, from signing fake invoices to trying to frame my sister Mia. I'd deliver it myself disguised to drive the knife deeper. I pulled on a delivery uniform, a fake beard and glasses. My NSA training making the transformation seamless. In my bag was a USB labeled Your Truth with a note I know and you'll pay. I drove to Tacoma, the city's grit a stark contrast to Seattle's tech sheen. Sophia's apartment building was run-down graffiti scarring the walls. I knocked my heart steady despite the weight of facing her. She opened the door, her eyes hollow, her face pale without her usual makeup. "Delivery," I said, my voice altered with a slight accent, holding out the USB. She took it frowning. "I didn't order anything," she muttered, but her curiosity won. She plugged it into her laptop, and I watched from my phone's remote feed as the files opened emails, texts, her bribe attempt, all time-stamped. The note flashed on her screen, and her gasp echoed through my earpiece. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking, as she recognized my handiwork. I lingered outside my disguise, holding, as she collapsed onto her couch, sobbing. "How did he know?" she murmured, scrolling through the evidence. I wanted her to feel it, the weight of her betrayal, the ruin she'd brought on herself. I slipped away my truck, blending into Tacoma's evening traffic, but not before texting Zoe. Dossier delivered. Leak Sophia's bribe to the feds. Her reply was a thumbs up, her signal that the final nail was ready. By morning, Sophia's fraud charges would be public, her socialite dreams buried under a federal indictment. Back at the safe house, I checked my feeds. CNN was running Victor's mugshot, his polished charm gone. Claire's firm was trending for all the wrong reasons, and my mother's condo sale had fallen through, her reputation in tatters. Lucas was begging for freelance gigs, his emails ignored. Mia, my sister, texted from her new apartment. "Thanks for keeping me safe, Ethan. Love you." I smiled, the warmth of her trust grounding me. They'd tried to frame her, to drag her into their mess, but I'd protected her, my only true family left. My monitors showed the news cycle spinning. The hacker's revenge was now a national story, with op-eds praising the anonymous coder who'd exposed Nexus Tech's corruption. I'd kept my tracks clean, my identity a ghost behind proxies and VPNs. Sophia Victor, Claire Lucas. My mother, they'd thought they could erase me, but I'd rewritten their code. Their lives were offline, their lies exposed, and I was free to move on. But I wasn't done. One more leak, one more strike, and their ruin would be permanent. I leaned back, pixels snores filling the silence. The war was mine, and the victory was coded in my favor. 5 years had passed since I dismantled the lives of those who betrayed me, and I stood in my Denver office. Now Nathan Cole, the founder of a thriving cybersecurity startup. The city's skyline sparkled beyond my window, a far cry from Seattle's drizzle and the chaos I'd left behind. Pixel, my old mutt, was gone, his collar hanging on my office wall beside a framed TechBit article. Nexus Tech collapses in fraud scandal. Sophia, my ex-wife, her lover Victor. My former friend Lucas, her sister Claire, and even my mother had tried to steal my $2 million crypto fortune and frame me for fraud. But I, an ex-NSA hacker, had turned their digital trap against them, exposing their crimes with malware and leaks. Now they were ghosts of their former selves, while I'd built a new life on the ashes of their deceit. My startup CodeGuard was funded by the very crypto I'd saved from their grasp, now worth $10 million. We trained ex-hackers to go legit, protecting companies from threats like the one I'd crushed. My office buzzed with coders, their screens alive with algorithms, a testament to the future I'd carved. My sister Mia, now a high school teacher, thrived in Denver, her smile free of the shadows Sophia's frame-up had cast. She visited, often bringing homemade cookies and stories of her students. her trust in me a lifeline through the storm. I leaned back sipping a cold brew, my monitors humming with updates from Zoe Carter, my NSA ally turned business partner. Her cybersecurity firm synced with mine, ensuring our enemies stayed buried. Zoe's latest report pinged Victor's out of prison, working as a low-level coder in Ohio. Sophia's a data entry clerk in Arizona, license gone. Claire's bankrupt mother's isolated. I nodded, my pulse steady as a server clock. Victor's 18-month sentence for fraud had ended, but my network ensured no tech firm would touch him. Every job application triggered alerts linking to his crimes. Sophia, once a socialite, lived in a trailer park. Her design dreams dead after fraud charges. Claire's accounting firm was history, her reputation ruined by IRS audits. My mother, who'd bet on Victor's scheme, lived alone in a cheap condo, her socialite friends long gone. Lucas, my ex-friend, scraped by as a freelance coder, his betrayal costing him everything. I checked my encrypted feeds, a habit from my NSA days. Sophia had tried to start a blog, rebuilding after scandal, but my bots flooded it with links to her TechBit expose, shutting it down in days. Victor's attempt at a new startup had crashed when Zoe's team leaked his fraud history to investors. Claire's latest loan application was denied after my anonymous tips to banks. My mother's emails begging for forgiveness went unanswered. I'd cut that tie when she chose money over me. Mia, my only family, was safe, her teaching career blooming. I'd protected her from Sophia's frame-up, and her gratitude grounded me, a reminder of why I fought. My phone buzzed with a call from Zoe. "Victor's sniffing around trying to dig up dirt on you," she said, her voice sharp. "He's got a new scam, some crypto scheme." I smirked, opening my laptop. "Send me his IP, I'll handle it." Within minutes, I'd traced his new venture, a shady NFT platform, and planted a worm to crash it, alerting regulators anonymously. Victor would never learn. His greed was his glitch. I leaned back, thinking of Sophia's face when I delivered that USB in disguise. Her realization that I wasn't just a coder. They'd thought they could erase me, but I'd rewritten their code, leaving them broken in my wake. Mia knocked on my office door, her teacher's tote slung over her shoulder. "Dinner tonight?" she asked, grinning. "I'm making tacos." I smiled, the first real one today. "Only if you bring extra guac." She laughed, hugging me, her warmth a stark contrast to the cold betrayal of our mother. "You're my hero, Ethan," she said, her eyes soft. I ruffled her hair, my chest tight. "You're mine, kid." After she left, I checked my feeds one last time. The news was still buzzing about the hacker's revenge, a case study in tech schools. Now my anonymous strike's a legend. CodeGuard was expanding with contracts from Fortune 500 firms. And I'd found peace not in trust, but in control. My monitors showed Victor's NFT scam collapsing, regulators raiding his Ohio office. Sophia's blog was offline, her comments section a graveyard. Claire's bankruptcy hearing was trending, and my mother's condo was foreclosed. They'd underestimated a ghost who could break their systems with a keystroke. I stood locking my office, the Denver skyline glowing like clean code. Sophia had wanted wealth, Victor power, but they'd lost it all to a man they thought was just a coder. I wasn't done watching them. My server's always running, ready for any ripple from the past. But for now, I'd won, and my new horizon was mine to code. The Denver skyline glowed under a crisp autumn sunset, its glass towers reflecting the life I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. I was Nathan Cole now, no longer Ethan Reed, the ex-NSA hacker who'd outsmarted a conspiracy. 5 years ago, my wife Sophia, her lover Victor, my best friend Lucas, her sister Claire, and even my own mother tried to drain my $2 million crypto wallet and frame me for fraud to steal my startup. But I turned their digital trap against them, using honeypots malware and TechBit leaks to expose their crimes. Now my cybersecurity startup CodeGuard was a beacon of innovation, while their lives were digital dust, their betrayals a case study in consequences. I stood in my office sipping a cold brew, my monitors humming with the quiet vigilance that defined my new horizon. Pixel's collar hung on the wall, a bittersweet reminder of my old companion who'd passed last year. Beside it, a framed TechBit article read, Nexus Tech Scandal, The Hacker's Revenge. My startup had grown funded by the crypto I'd saved, now worth $15 million. CodeGuard trained ex-hackers to protect companies our contracts spanning Fortune 500 firms to government agencies. My sister Mia, my only true family, thrived as a Denver high school teacher, her classroom a haven for kids like we'd once been. She'd visit tonight tacos in hand, her laughter a balm for the scars of our mother's betrayal. I'd protected Mia from Sophia's frame-up, and her trust was my anchor, a reminder of why I'd fought. Zoe Carter, my NSA ally-turned-partner, kept our enemies' lives in check. Her latest update pinged Victor's NFT scam shut down. He's a data clerk in Ohio blacklisted. Sophia's parole denied, stuck in Arizona prison. Claire's bankrupt mother's broke. Victor, once Nexus Tech's golden boy, shuffled through a cubicle job, his dreams crushed after my worm tanked his latest scam. Sophia, no longer the socialite, languished in a cell, her blog attempts drowned by my bots linking her crimes. Claire's accounting firm was a memory, her bankruptcy public. My mother, who'd bet on Victor's scheme, lived in a Florida trailer, her socialite days gone. Lucas, my ex-friend, coded for pennies, his betrayal a permanent stain. I leaned back, my monitor showing a news alert. Hackers' revenge inspires cybersecurity law. My anonymous strikes had sparked reforms protecting tech workers from fraud. CodeGuard was now a case study in MIT's tech ethics course, my legacy coded into the industry. I thought of Sophia's face when I delivered that USB in disguise, her realization that I wasn't just a coder. She'd thought she could erase me, but I'd rewritten her world, leaving her haunted by consequences. Victor's prison letters begging for mercy went unanswered. My servers flagged them as spam. Claire's loan rejections and my mother's foreclosure notices were routine now, my network ensuring their past never faded. Mia knocked her teacher's tote, bursting with tacos. "You're working too hard, Nathan," she teased, setting the table. I grinned, the name still foreign but fitting. "Just keeping the code clean," I said, hugging her. She'd read my story in a tech journal, calling me her hero hacker. "You taught me something," she said, her eyes soft. "Justice isn't revenge. It's making sure they face what they did." I nodded, my chest tight. Exactly, kid. After dinner, I checked my feeds, a habit from my NSA days. Zoe's firm monitored threats, ensuring Victor's scams or Sophia's pleas never gained traction. My servers, hidden in a Denver data center, ran 24/7, watching for ripples from the past. A new alert flashed: a former NSA colleague, now a rival, was digging into my Ethan Reed identity, sniffing for leverage. I smirked, opening a terminal. My tracks were erased years ago, my digital ghost untouchable. I planted a decoy file leading him to a dead end and texted Zoe, handle the NSA snooper. Keep it quiet. Her reply was a winking emoji, her code for already done. I stood locking my office, the Denver skyline, a testament to my victory. Sophia had wanted wealth, Victor power, but they'd lost it all to a man they thought was just a coder. I'd found peace not in trust, but in vigilance. My servers always running my code, always clean. Their betrayal had freed me, and I was ready for whatever came next.